Welcome to the 010 podcast, where Dr. Josi and Andy connect to create honest, playful, and authentic conversations about everything you may need to know to live a vibrant, healthy, and wholesome life.
Hi.
Hello. Here we are
Thanks
again.
for joining
010
us on the
podcast.
010 podcast.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe and stay
two
connected
different
for
climates
more
again.
insights on a vibrant,
different
healthy,
climates.
and wholesome
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Follow
And
us
two
on
different
Facebook
days.
or Instagram at 010
We are in two
Retreats,
different days.
where you can find our YouTube
Is it
channel
what day is it
under
there?
010
It is
Podcast.
the 17th.
If you're looking for a
5:20.
retreat,
So you're
check out
ahead.
our website, 010retreats.com.
Because it's the 16th.
16th.
That's awesome.
That is interesting. So, time travel, kind of. Some time travel going on. And, feels like maybe I'm in the front and going to tell you what the day is going to be like, but I can't tell you. I have no idea. The world doesn't work like that, but it feels like that. Like I'm kind of going through it first.
That is kind of weird if you think about it, right? Like if something happens there on the 17th, it's reported here as happening on the 16th.
I actually don't know how
weird.
that works. And still, even like us, this was a little bit of a mess up because I had changed locations on you and forgot to mention it. So when I get a text from Andy saying, "Hey, can we hop on the phone real quick before we have our first meeting?" I'm like, well, somehow I woke up at 1:30 and this is just what's supposed to happen in the morning to get this going today. So I don't know how time works right now. Like I am really struggling with making all that happen. Wild.
People much smarter than me know the answer to that, but that doesn't make sense to me.
No, it's because we're so like 2D or 3D maybe, but it's like maybe like when you look at a globe, it's very 2D, what it is. Then you look at it dynamically to 3D, and then it's like, okay, well, maybe I can see how it's 11:59 and then it's a different day, right? When you get into noon or 1 or 12 a.m.
Right.
But it still doesn't feel right.
Right.
I can't imagine are there any countries that are on that line where you have to play with that? Oh my gosh, can you imagine living?
Well, Bismarck and Mandan used to be that. Did you know that? Bismarck
I understand like a time zone change, but like a different day. So you put down
a different day. Yeah, you're right.
Even though it's a second different, it's like how you go and schedule something. Like make sure you put the 16th at 12 or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, my brain doesn't work that way very well. So I've struggled with the scheduling as we're going on this little journey through the world to make sure time zones are right. I have an app on my phone that tells me what time it is everywhere, that I need to know what time it is, but it doesn't do the conversion for me. So I need to, if anyone out there knows of a great app, because you're doing some global traveling, like please send it my way. That would be wonderful. That helps keep us all on track so we don't miss meetings and schedule them at the right time and all the things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're here now. That's a good thing.
Oh yeah.
We got it figured out. We're gonna check in today with Josi. Well, with both of us, but I think it might be. We touched on it on our last episode, which was our first episode on YouTube, really.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe it'll be our second on YouTube. Well, it depends on. See.
It'll be maybe our second, but recent start of.
We just
YouTube.
talked about this, right? But like, I think you need to expound a little bit about why you're in
Thailand and what I'm up to, right?
I wanted to say Taiwan. I was like, oh, that's not right. That is not right.
That is the one country my grandma was really scared if I was going there for some reason. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
I don't know world
yeah, it's not
politics
right.
at all. So, but
So
anyway, not in
Thailand.
Taiwan. I'm in
Yeah.
Thailand.
Yes. Okay, good.
Yeah. And I don't know, Andy, it's a little bit scratchy when it's coming through. I don't know. Are you further away?
Well, yeah, but also the air kicked on in my super old
Oh,
building.
okay. Okay, that might be all it is. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was in Hawaii. So this this is slightly planned on how I did this whole process. And I think that's kind of important to talk about because um when I was coming from a very patterned um like going to work, and my hours were, strict. Like I saw patients. My schedule of life was on a 10-minute increment for quite a while through work. And then your weekends obviously are different. But I would say I came from a pretty regimented weekly schedule for how things worked. So when I decided to go on this little adventure, I wanted the first part to be a reset of my nervous system and more of like the retreats, actually, of what Andy and I teach with the 0-10 retreats. But I was really looking for a reset of my system so that when I moved on to the next chapter of what this was going to look like, I was ready to take in information. I wasn't going to be overstimulated to like come into another country. I wanted to be like grounded before I entered something tougher. Tougher mentally, physically, all the things. So I did a reset in Hawaii. I spent the first week vacationing, laying on the beach, eating all the poke bowls, really enjoying walking. I walked a lot, did a lot of exercise, like more than I'm used to. But walking and yoga, nothing crazy, but yeah, I spent the first 2 weeks doing that. The second week was in Maui. And when I went to Maui, I was going to be in an Airbnb. So I had my own kitchen. I had my own, like, all the things that I would need in a home. So I did a retreat from home, and I actually did a 3-day fast while I was there. I wanted a full body reset. So I did a reset of my brain, more in Hawaii, where my intention was in Honolulu. That's where my first stop was. Where every day I woke up and I said, just show me what I need to do today. And that was like it. So I didn't eat on a schedule. I ate when I was hungry. I didn't, I just did. I just was there. The next one I was like, okay, so in Maui, I wanted to do this fast. And I did it in the comfort of a beautiful condo on the beach. And so I looked at the beach and went for walks, found a chiropractor there. He adjusted me. We exchanged adjustments. It was a beautiful little thing. I did massages and all the things there. And so I kind of reset my body. And then I had one day in Maui, and then I flew to Thailand. So the reason that we had a little mess up with time was because I decided to come to Thailand sooner, because to be honest, I am on a budget. Income is different, and Hawaii is absolutely beautiful. I fasted for 3 days, so there was a little, I didn't pay any money for food for a while. But to be honest, it would have been tough to stay there another week and spend another couple $1,000s on accommodation. So I was like, you know what, just get to Thailand. And I felt ready. I felt ready. I felt like my time in Maui was done. Except the last day. You've been to Maui, Andy. So I did that. I finally got in the car, and I think the fast kind of kept me in one location where I just didn't like explore a ton. I just kind of stayed close, just kind of internal, a little bit of a hermit in my space, and just kind of did that. I didn't go hiking and exploring or anything the rest of the island. So I was in Lahaina. The furthest I went out was whale watching one day, and that was unreal, what I got to see there. But I don't know if everybody knows, but that's where the fires was in Lahaina. So I did go and explore that, and just got a little bit of a cultural experience that way, and just seeing what other people are going through. And now we're looking at, the fires in LA, and I don't know, all this stuff was happening at the same time, the LA fires. So then I was like, you know what, go drive through that and see what the aftermath is of something like this. Like it was crazy. Like they don't have homes aren't rebuilt yet. They don't have their harbor yet. So I mean, Maui is, I mean, that's hurting them. It's hurting that city for sure. I went to try to do a scuba dive, and they're like, oh, we don't offer that anymore because we don't have our gear and our boats yet. Like they were burned in the fire.
And the fires were August of 2023.
Yeah, and we talked about that, right? So
right.
Granted, you're on an island. They don't have the resources that we do here necessarily. I think the biggest thing for them is they just want to make sure that they use their funds to build these houses. It's what's like for people to live in, you know. I don't know. There's all sorts of conspiracies and things on that fire, on the LA fires. I get all that. But no matter if there's a conspiracy or not, it still happened and it still affected people's lives. So it's interesting to talk to people that were in the fire, that were there, that got away, that took a boat out in the middle of the ocean and came back later. Like I just heard a lot of different perspectives on that, and it was just like something I felt like I needed to see. It was good. It was eye-opening, and yeah, we can talk about it over in the States or the mainland as like what we think it is, but people still lived it. I haven't ever had to live that where I was trying to escape a fire for my life, you know? So yeah, there's some trauma there for sure. And it's still a touchy subject around there. So yeah, anyway, that was one of the digressions, or like one of the times I left my little area. But it was probably like a 3.5 mile walk along the beach, pretty uninterrupted. Really well done, you know. So I just walked that like every day, back and forth. It was nice. So yeah, I decided
with shoes or without shoes.
Oh my gosh, there's some sort of sticker out there that I would step on if I was mostly shoeless, but if I had to go from the beach to the grass,
yeah,
I put my shoes on. I stepped on a couple of things that I like,
yeah.
It's like a thorn. I felt like it
right.
was, yeah. So there was definitely parts where I shouldn't, or wore shoes, but I think if you actually went through the normal paths, so I didn't stay right on the beach like that. Like mine was a cliff, or, you know, like it wasn't necessarily beach access for long. So I was on the street for a while, and then I'd get into like the resort area. And then it was, you just walk on the beach until you can't walk on the beach anymore. Great grass, like just walked on the grass, and dirty feet all day, every day. It was wonderful. Felt very grounded after I left there. So yeah, I did the cleanse, or the fast was very much a spiritual fast. Like that was part of it. What was coming up, what was maybe some beliefs around food that I still have that I haven't gotten rid of yet. You know, like there's some things that still need worked on, just like we're all a work in progress, right? So it was nice to kind of settle in and see what's still beneath the skin a bit. So there. So I documented that whole thing. I've kind of documented my whole journey so far. I don't know if anybody wants to listen to it or hear it or whatever, but I felt like that's just something I want to do to help. I don't know, somebody, maybe part of my story will relate with others, but just to kind of, not saying I'm going to be like this perfect person when I'm all done. I'm not saying that, but definitely like that there's just things that I think it's kind of our responsibility to take care of, to not keep bringing to every situation over and over and over again, whether it's relational or food or, you know, spiritual or whatever it is. Like what is, you know, there's something that just keeps coming up. Like I think it's our responsibility to dig into that. No one else can do it for us, you know. And how you do that is different for everybody. But I am very, very thankful to have the opportunity to do this the way that I am feeling like I want to do it. I know that not everybody can. So I'm trying to make it as accessible as possible. Like it's still the foundational pieces that are important, I think, to do some of these things. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go to Maui to do it. or get a Airbnb or whatever. Like that's not the case, but if you can, like, try it. I mean, it's self-love, you know, there's just some things that are very self-loving, and traveling is one of them for me.
And you brought up grounding, how you felt so grounded after all that walking and you know, yeah, you don't have to walk on a beach in Maui to ground. You can ground anywhere.
Right.
So
yeah. Yeah, and we this podcast is going to talk about a lot of those different like techniques of how to just stay centered, but it's very basic, very simple. We complicate things. Honestly, media, which we're on right now, can complicate things. And you can get fancy or you can stay very simple. And I'm trying to this go around, like I cut out all my supplements besides a couple of things because I just wanted it to be, here's body, you can figure it out. Like it did not go well when you watch, if anybody watches my stuff, it's all on YouTube. My videos are, if anyone wants to find it, but I did do a newsletter email. So, you know, the emails are already out. So I don't have that on a blog at this point, but they'll get transferred over at some point. But it was not easy. I did not do well. And I've done these fasts before, Andy. It's like I've done 3 days, 4 days in the past, but this one did not go well. Like I did not feel good most of the time. Just remember you're detoxing. So I was like, is this just not right for me? And it's like, no, like this is right, but you have to be okay with the symptom. Like, you have to be okay with the symptom. Like you got to let that go and you can't fix it. Like anything I learned, like the number one thing I learned in Maui was that you cannot control everything. Like you have to let your body process it, even if it's not, like the symptom might be there, like let it out though. Like don't try to like push it down, like, oh, you know, I have a headache right now, like what can I do? Peppermint oil, like all these things to make it feel better. Like you gotta like let it out. Like things are trying to escape out of you. Like you gotta let it happen.
Well, for you and me, peppermint oil. For most people, ibuprofen or Tylenol, and that's worse.
Yeah, and that would totally defeat the purpose of my fast, right? So like if you're asking your body to process something, expect no expectation. Really, you shouldn't expect that it's going to feel bad. You shouldn't expect that it's going to feel good. Whatever, like just know that you're doing the right thing.
Right.
Like don't second guess that. Because it can when things get hard, right? Like,
do you think that this fast was hard for you because of the way you had spent the week or two beforehand? Sort of like you said, just kind of eating what you want, doing what you want, just being in the moment.
I ate healthier in Honolulu than I have in Bismarck for
a long time.
I mean, I ate a lot of food, but I mean, poke bowls, you've got rice and salmon, and you know what I mean? Like it's so easy to eat clean there. I don't think I didn't have gluten for a whole week. You know, and gluten's a very sensitive thing for me, but I don't know. Like yes, I vacationed, but I didn't. The only thing that was a little bit off to me was that I had tequila. That was my thing. So I'd have a tequila before I go home, which I was in bed by 8, 9 o'clock every night because I didn't partake in the nightly festivities. But I don't know. I did have champagne. And let's jump into this a little bit because it's kind of interesting. When I got to Hawaii and my only intention was just like, right, show me the way, show me where to go and to take care of me. So people in my life who can help me along the process. That's all I'm asking for. The first 2 days, I didn't pay for a meal. So when when I got to Hawaii, it was New Year's Eve, which is a huge deal in Hawaii. And there's fireworks going all over and all the things. Kids out playing on the beach like until late at night, right? And there's lights going everywhere. It was just a really beautiful scene for like playfulness. It was great. I walked the beach and then went and sat and had a meal had a glass of wine and was going to eat. It was 10 o'clock their time, or 9 o'clock their time, 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever it is in Bismarck. So I was tired and ready to be done, but I like went out to have supper. I did pay for that meal, but then after that, I met a chiropractor there, and he took care of me for the next day, which people can say whatever they want to say, that it was like a relational, or he's, wanting to date you or whatever, but it wasn't that. It was like, hey, you're doing something pretty neat, and I love your story. Let me just get your meals this today or whatever. And that's how it was. It was just so organic and nice and so appreciative. And we prayed over our meals together. Like, it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience. And I know that he listens to these, so he knows who he is. That was just really kind. And then very shortly after that, I went to get shrimp tacos. I was just craving a shrimp taco. So I went down for shrimp tacos, and they're like, hey, like, you just want to leave us a review? Like, we'll get your meal. So I did that. And so I did leave him a review, but he was very friendly and very nice. And the whole kitchen, like, I watched them cook my food. It was just cool. So we did that the next day. And then the following day, I met a man. He thought I was it's all men. This was interesting. I don't really know what the world's telling me about this right now, but I think it's trusting men to take care of you in a healthy way. And anyway, this guy came up to me. He's probably in his, I shouldn't guess an age. It's hard to know, but he's an older gentleman. And he's like, are you from Sweden? And we're just walking on the beach. Like, we just meet like this. And he's like, that's what he asked. I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, well, you just really have the features of that. He's like, what are you doing here? And like, I told him the story. And he's like, have you been to North Shore? And I was like, no, I don't have a car. I'm just kind of like, I just walk as far as I can and see what I can. And so he actually took me up the next day. He gave me this necklace that I'm wearing right now. He's from Brazil. And he said, this is, for protection for your journey. And then we went out and had oysters and champagne. He's like a wine, he studies wine and whatnot. So anyway, so he's like, this is a champagne that I like. So we drank champagne and had oysters, and then that was it. Like, I mean, it's just a beautiful, like, abundant story, like abundance just around me that might not come in the form of straight cash. It's like just your, how things kind of unfold. I don't know. Like, yes, I am, like, our business is like our 0-10 retreats is my sole income right now. And the world's taking care of me. That's all I asked for from the beginning, I just have to I'm just very like, thank you. Whenever it happens, like, I'm just really noticing that now, like the little things. Here at the hostel, they serve me breakfast. Is it like a fancy breakfast? No, but like free food. I got to my Airbnb, and it was late at night in Maui, and they had some peanuts and like some food there. I was like, just some of those things that you don't really think about that, are there for you, like around you, that you might not realize is providing abundance or whatever. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Does your dad know that story?
No.
Will he now?
I'll have to send him this episode.
That's gotta be, I think when you hear stories like that, right? Especially for us suspicious people in North Dakota, right? We're very South Dakota, whatever. We're very suspicious of people. Well, I don't know why, but we are, right?
Yeah.
But that's a tough story for a dad to hear.
A tough one, or is that like a good one?
Well, because when he probably hears my daughter met a man from Brazil on the beach and then spent the day with him, right?
Well, you might hear that. Well, right.
Right.
And what?
That's not what happened. or, you know what I mean? That is what happened, but it's not what happened in your eyes, right? It's a little deeper there. It's a little different than that. So what comes into play there? Like intuition, situational awareness. How do you?
I feel like that's what I'm learning right now. Your foot's just died. So I apologize.
It sounds better without it. It does. Sounds so much better. Anyway,
you
go
guys,
ahead.
we have been struggling with.
Yeah, that sounds great.
With my sound forever. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I can see that, but I also, especially when we are a little suspicious or like, what's the alternative motive here, type of thing.
Right.
I get that. I am fortunate enough to have a few women in my life who are very similar in mindset as me, especially like family members. Okay. Not everyone gets them, right? Not everyone understands where their mindset comes from, including my family in a way, right? Like, there's my dad and I are connected in a really interesting way. So when you said that, like, what does your dad think about this? I'm like, I think my dad would be praying for somebody to take care of me while I'm gone.
Oh yeah.
That's instantly where I went. But I mean, I get the suspicious part as well, where it'd be like, oh, I don't want my daughter to be hanging out with strangers that are male. Like I get that. Believe me, I don't know how many times I ran through my head that morning before hopping in his car to go to North Shore. Like it took a lot. And we had this conversation. He's a traveler himself, and I didn't get in his car right away. And I've been thinking about this all morning. You're asking me to hop in a car with you. We haven't had coffee. Like, I don't know I felt completely safe with him, like intuitively. And then my brain started going, which I'm not saying is wrong by any means. I was just like, I told him and he's like, I get it. He's like, that makes sense to me. He's like, so we talked it out for a minute. He's like, you're about to travel the country. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you're going to have to figure some of this stuff. So he kind of gave me like a little bit of a talk about that. And he's like, I'll go. And that he was not upset. He's like smiling about it. He's like, I'll go. And that's okay. He's like, but you are going to have to figure out how to use your gut and how to know what's right and what's wrong. And you're going to have to trust it. It's like, if you don't trust your intuition, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Okay, we're going to pause there for just a second. So I think that's a big lesson in life in general, right? And is learning to trust your body, like you talked about earlier. I mean, your body can heal itself. Your body also can speak to you, right? It can tell you if you're in danger. It can tell you if you should be hyper aware of something. It can tell you if you're headed in the right direction or not, right? It's just learning. So he's right. This gentleman is right, and you know it.
Yeah, and he's speaking my terms, which helped. It wasn't like, I don't know. It wasn't like he was mean about it or anything. Like it was like you're a single woman doing this on going. You have like I get it. Yeah, I don't know. It was. I can see all sides of that, of being scary when you hear it at first.
Yeah.
Great in the aftermath because I'm here. It worked out. I didn't get taken. But believe me, I definitely mowed it over a lot in my head before I hopped in that car. And if he's listening to this too, which he very well might be, it'll make him smile. But there was something about, did I say Brazil? He's from Peru.
Yeah, you said Brazil.
That was my fault.
Peru.
He's from Peru. Yeah. Which is another reason why I connected to it a little bit, is because that country keeps popping up in conversation with random. So it's like, oh, okay, just connecting with some signs or with the serendipity of of what life can be, kind of, and how it kind of all like there's just symbols and things that kind of all direct you in a certain way, you know. That's what I felt like was happening. Anyway, worked out good. Had some great oysters, some
Awesome.
champagne. So yeah, so I would say we were talking about food, but I would say like leading up to it, I was eating more in Hawaii than I was at home, but I was overly stressed at home on getting some things done. I put that stress on myself. There was probably no reason for it to all be there like that. It was knowing that there something's going to happen that I have no idea how it's going to end up, and that's what it was before I left or my house to go to the airport. Like, I mean, it's okay. It's okay to be stressed. I think that's what some people freak out about. Is like they put guilt on themselves for being stressed, which makes it worse. So I mean, just take note. I think when it's kind of like when you meditate, right? You have a thought, you're supposed to let it just keep going. When you're stressed, you still just let it keep going, but be aware that it's there. I don't know. I think it's got a really bad rap right now. It's just kind of everywhere.
Well, and it's another one of those labels that people like to put on themselves or on other people, like, oh, she's stressed or whatever. And it's like, life's
Yeah,
stressful.
it can be. Yeah,
Can be.
yeah,
And
and I mean it's not bad though. If we don't get stressed, we don't grow.
right,
But I think
absolutely.
it's important to be more in the other side of it, right? So I will be honest, I was not healthy this last year. I could not get my stress under control with everything that I did because I was trying to control it, trying to make it better, trying to change a process, trying to, whatever, all the different things, like I kind of
Trying.
piled trying,
Trying
working.
isn't trying a form of force probably too. I
Can
mean,
be.
it can be.
Yeah, and I do think just because you're in flow doesn't mean you don't work hard. That's what I really need people to understand, that it's still hard. You still put work in. It just can't always feel like resistance the whole time. I don't know. I'm learning. Can't control it all. You can, and when it comes to health, I definitely try to, because I know so much. I'm not trying to say I don't, but I made a living out of this. Like, believe me, I've heard a lot of things. I've listened to a lot of things, read a lot of things. Yeah, perspectives, whatever. I've done a lot of work around health and the body. So my educated brain gets in the way of me healing so often.
Yes.
Versus maybe a patient that came in that here's 3 things to do or not do or whatever, and they get better faster than me.
Yeah.
Because they just trust it.
Yeah. Right.
That makes sense?
100%.
Yeah.
I am not an overthinker, and I always think that works to my benefit.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I'm not an over educated person either. I do read all the things and I do a lot of research but I do think there's a lot to be said for not reading all the things, right? And again, allowing the things to come to you that are supposed to come instead of looking for them. I see a lot of people that are they're looking for all the things, right?
Yeah.
Trust that it's going to come to you if you ask for it. I mean, and again, that sounds woo-woo, sounds frou-frou, but if you ask for the answer, you will get it. You just have to listen
Yeah.
for it. And
Yeah.
this gentleman from Peru, whatever, that was your answer, was
Yeah.
to get in the car with him, then you got in the car with him.
Yeah. I mean, very interesting. I learned a little bit of life around Hawaii. That was my cultural experience of Honolulu. I learned about agriculture. I learned about surfing. I learned about how he's lived there for 20 years and you're still not really invited into the culture. It's just a very protective area, which, I mean, I get it. We lived in that in South Dakota, North Dakota, whatever. Like, culture experience. That's what I asked for. That's what I got.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So,
that's a brief check-in with Josi. I think we'll get a lot of those over the next couple months.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Thailand is going to be interesting. I start my training on the 19th here, so in 2 days. So that'll be fun. That'll be a month of meditation and yoga on an island somewhere.
Perfect.
So that's what's coming up in in my world.
Okay, well, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to run a retreat in March. So if anybody is interested, I'm doing a 1-day retreat Sunday, March 16th. And Josie will hopefully she will be joining us via Zoom or potentially a video of some type for her part of our retreat. But yeah, that will be held at Karma Vita. We've done them here before. They're great. Karma Vita is such a wonderful healing space and relaxing and Zen, all of the things. So yeah, if anyone's interested, you can reach out here at Karma Vita and we can get you signed up. But yeah, we're going to do a 1-day healer retreat Sunday, March 16th. So I'm going to be doing that while Josie's doing her training. And of course, we'll keep coming to you with some fun podcasts. We're meeting. Our next one will be our next guest. We're gonna have a guest. Her name is Christy Flieger Keller, and she is one heck of a lady. So you'll want to hear her story. So
For sure.
That's when we'll see you again.
Okay. Lovely.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye.